Welcome to Doing Divorce Different. I'm so thankful that you're here today because I have a gem of a gal and I can't wait to get to know her better because I've read a little bit of her story. I have Donna Kendrick. She is a certified financial planner, but she's got a story that she's going to share with us after my little introduction here. And we're going to then talk about helping women through transitions like divorce and other things, helping them get their financial mind right. Because I think a lot of us can be fearful when things happen. So, Donna, and I also want to say Donna has a podcast of her own called the Widow Wisdom and Wealth Podcast. So take a listen there. We'll have it in the show notes. But Donna, thank you so much for being here and welcome.
Thank you for being such a welcoming hostess. I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Well, would you mind? I love how through this podcast I get to meet so many amazing people who have maybe been through something a little hard
Yeah.
and then they learn something and then they move on and they have these businesses and these lives that help people, and I think you're one of these people.
Oh,
So can you just share your story?
yeah, definitely. And so the story is kind of how, I recreated my career. After here's the story. I lost my first husband, right? And
Mhm.
when I lost him, I didn't want to just go back to a job, right? I didn't want to go back to just a career. I had one of those before I gave that up to follow him abroad. I wanted to go back to something that made a difference, turn lemons into lemonade, and that became my mission. And so I want people to understand that. Like sometimes we need to just have a job. Sometimes we're happy to have a career, a salary coming in. We feel great with having, promotions and having a staff behind us that's successful, having successful products and projects. But a mission's a little different. That's a
It is.
passion. It's a passion that carries you forward, and the work you do is fulfilling each day because of it. And
Yeah.
my mission came to be, yes, with the loss of my first husband. Years ago, I had given up my career to follow him abroad so that he could expand his career. During that time, we had three wonderful kids. Came back stateside. We're born and raised in Philadelphia, both him and I. And 3 months after we came back to the Philadelphia area, he passed away suddenly. And I've been sharing recently, and I haven't for the longest time, that he had taken his life. But when
Oh,
we're talking about finances and making decisions during high emotions, and for me, because of the way he passed, now I've gone to a lot of counseling and I know this is not the case, but I felt worthless. I felt like I was not worth staying alive for. So you start trying to say, I'm a valuable person that can make some great financial decisions, even though I am doing it on my own and I think I'm going to sink. Like, that's hard, right? And you're trying to make the best decisions for your three babies and you and your career and the whole bit. And I share that story because I just want the listeners to know, like, it's okay to slow the roll. It's okay to make the decisions that you have to right now and then pause
yeah.
on a few. And it's okay to lean in and say, I am not in the right frame of mind to be handling this right now. Who
Yeah.
is out there who can help me? There's a
Yeah.
great book out there called Who Not How. And I wish I had it back then because I was just trying to fill in the blanks, like the puzzle pieces of, ooh,
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in that. Who can do it? Right.
Yeah. And I
So
love what you're saying because so many times on this podcast, we talk about how you can, be a life coach. And when you go through and know how to, set your mind right. And when you go through something that turns your world upside down, it doesn't work. You know
yeah,
what I mean? You just have to survive.
it's
Move.
true.
I mean, I just tend to walk. I just do the walking,
Yep.
and then you kind of do take care of yourself the best that you can. So I can only imagine. And so I think what I love about this is for the listeners who are going through something hard like this right now, it can help them see hope.
Mhm.
Sometimes you just have to kind of wait it out and feel that a little bit of pain and just know that I'm feeling this now, but it's not going to be forever. And so it's going to be okay. But I'm so curious. I just have to ask you more questions. What did you do before? What was your career before?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very social, but I'm a statistics geek, right? So my undergrad was in statistics for business. I wound up doing financial forecasting for the pharmaceutical industry.
Okay.
And back when I had my first husband in our marriage to Greg, that was my first husband's name. We were what we call yuppies, right? We had two
Yeah.
incomes. We didn't have kids yet. Our parents were both firefighters and police officers in Philadelphia. You had to live in city limits. We were the first family to break out and move to New Jersey. Like it was a
Yeah.
big thing, right? And so yeah, we were yuppies. And so when we had the opportunity for Greg to take his career abroad, because he worked for the federal government, we decided that I could probably jump back into my career earlier, even though we were neck and neck, both making the same
Yeah.
amount, right? Both
Yeah.
educated the same way. I actually have to add that Greg encouraged me to go back, get back and get my master's before we even got married. That was one of our conditions of us getting married, was for me to finish my master's, because we both knew we liked a bit of the traditional family, and we
Yeah.
wanted me to be at least a role of that mom part-time or
Mhm.
full-time at home. And he knew that if I didn't get my master's beforehand, I probably wouldn't have gone back, right? Well, good
Yep.
thing that we did, because when he did pass years
Yeah.
later, I had
Yeah.
education in my back pocket, which
Yeah.
was not one of those considerations then, right? It was just kind of like getting it out of the way before we had kids and too much debt and a mortgage, right? Like we were just
Right.
taking life step by step. But that being said, yeah, went ahead and followed him abroad, right? And gave up that career, right? And wound up teaching English to Italian kids. We lived in Rome, Italy, and yeah, like that's what I did. I worked in the school system, so I could be there with my kids. We followed the
Right.
same schedule, right? It was fantastic. It really was
Yeah.
great. And so when I came back home stateside, I was just working part time in the schools, making like $17,000 a year. And so when Greg passed away, well, suddenly the paycheck stops. And
Yeah.
you're in this big lull of Social Security. You didn't even know if you were eligible.
Yeah.
Life insurance, if it's there, is held up because you don't have any money to pay for a funeral. You just bought a house outside of Philadelphia. There's no
Right.
cash reserve. Credit cards are cut off in your name because they weren't in your name, they were in his, and you were an authorized user, right? I had one credit card to this day. I'll say it, American Express. I am loyal. They kept me. They
I
kept
use
me
that all the time.
because
Not everybody takes it.
not everyone takes it, but I'm okay. I am loyal. I am so loyal because that was the one credit card that kept me afloat and kept my length of credit history. Gave me my 13 years of credit history after Greg passed. I was like, thank you so much. I don't know if I
Um,
could have leveraged life, because a lot of life at that point in time, I'm a financial advisor now. I wasn't back then, but my only opportunity or access to cash was credit card and the goodness of others. The people that
wow.
might have just left a little envelope with 40 bucks in my mailbox. That's what I lived on until we could
And
get life straightened out.
yeah, and another lesson there. You know how when something hard happens and people go, "How can I help you?" Quit asking. Just go stick some money in their mail. You just like what you said. That
Yeah.
is what it takes.
We say
And
just
so
do it.
yeah, just do it.
Just do
Just
it.
bring them the meal, bring them the
Yeah.
money. Yeah.
Yeah, rake the
So
leaves when they're not home, right?
yep,
And be like, "Who did that? Like, what little
right.
Smurf was in my backyard?" That's what you wanna do, right? Just
Yeah.
just do for them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I cannot believe what you went through, and look at the hope, look at your life, things are going well. And I always believe in doing something that you're passionate about and something that you're knowledgeable in. And I think you were a numbers person, even though you said you weren't a financial planner. So you're the person, if somebody's listening and they're kind of terrified and don't know what to do, they can contact you and you can help them get the plan together, correct? They don't
Exactly.
have to do
Yep.
it alone.
Nope, and we specialize with widows, divorcees, and blended families. That's our
Yeah.
wheelhouse. That's where we are. That's where we're trained. I actually, let's fast forward. So 2 years after Greg passed, I had moved financial advisors. Greg and I actually had one when we were younger, but it was just the
Mhm.
basics. But that
Right.
basic was getting us life insurance. So that first financial advisor we had at age 25 got us the life insurance that allowed me to keep my house and send my kids to college. So I'm
Uh,
always thankful. But I moved financial advisors. I moved to someone who was empathetic, who had worked with other widows, who really knew how to slow my roll, had a box of tissues on his conference room table, right? And told me, what decisions do I have to make right now? Which ones can wait? And was patient enough for me to be able to breathe again for that fog that we walked through, that heavy step of one in front of the other, and made those decisions a little later, because year one, year two, and year three all felt so different. I was a different person. The needs of my kids had changed. The understanding of my finances evolved over those 3 years. And so that when I had to sit there and I knew I had to go back to work, paychecks had stopped. Pension and Social Security will get you so far. And we were
Right.
young and I had kids headed to college. And again, if I take life insurance money and I throw it at the mortgage and education for the kids, there's not much to live on, friends, right?
Right.
Like it looked like a big number when Greg and I signed up for that
Yeah,
policy.
I
Mm-mm,
know.
put inflation and everything else. But what impacted me most was the help of that financial advisor. If you can't read between the lines and hear my words, like the answer of am I going to be okay? There's no guarantee to that, right? I can make some dumb emotional decisions on top of it, right? Or date dumb people. But these are the things that happen. If they're listening, that's what I called you, dumb person. But these are the things that happen. And it was so relieving to me, right? And so I actually sat down with him. I was like, you know what you said I have to, get my acting gear and get back to work, making quote unquote real money. I was making 17,000 at the time. We
Right.
were missing a big chunk of that. I was like, I want to do what you did for me, for other people. And he was like, okay. Showed me what to do to go back to school. I continued working my part-time job while going back to school, while taking 3 kids to swim practice, lacrosse, and everything else, and those good things, and trying to parent them through the grief of their dad. And it was okay. And we did it. And we did it. And by 45, 44, God, I'm dating myself, 44, I had all of my licensing for federal, for state, and was sitting for my CFP. It was just fantastic. So that's a certified financial planner, knowing always that I didn't want to be a generalist. I wanted to niche my market to help these families in transition. I wanted to slow the roll. I wanted to make sure they had a friend. I wanted to make sure they had a new partner in these decisions. Our divorcees and our widows, they've lost the person that they made their financial decisions with. They've
Mhm.
lost the roadmap they had for the future. They're setting up new dreams. Their tomorrow feels different. And you got to add a little love to that. Not every financial advisor is sitting there saying, are we a perfect match? Do you mind if I mommy you? Right? That's an action word. That's what we do. And so I'm so blessed to have come into this mission, worked under that financial advisor for 3 years, and then went out on my own when it probably wasn't the best time in the middle of 2020. And my new husband, who was not my husband at the time, he was my fiance, left his career to help me start this practice. My little contractor became an Excel wizard and was my admin. And he no longer does that part in the business. He hated it, but he did it for a good 2 to 3 years to help me. Paperwork, paperwork, paperwork. So yeah, that's
Good
us.
for you. That's amazing. It's hopeful. And I'm sure, I don't know if you could see that in the first year. I mean, you were probably just trying to swim, to keep from sinking. Maybe not
Yeah,
even
sure.
swimming, just keep from
Sure.
sinking. And I think what hiring someone like you can do to help women going through these big transitions is to take that fear away. And I know it's interesting because you were saying that you've lost the person that you've planned your finances with. Sometimes you haven't even done any planning. Sometimes the other person did all the planning. And
Yeah.
I've got a lot of women who are going through a divorce who are terrified because they don't even know what they have.
Yeah.
And I always say that the more knowledge you have, it gets rid of the fear. Like when I sit down with a couple and we go through their finances and we look at what things are going to look like, even though it may not be great or it may not be what they thought, having that clarity to know exactly where they stand just brings a little peace. So I can only imagine how fulfilling your work is when people come to you and you can just help them breathe a sigh of relief. You know what? There is, don't you think?
Yeah. And to say, I know it feels like a whirlwind right now, right?
Mhm.
Everything's spinning and you just want to gain a little bit of control, right? Well, I've got you. And we're going to
Yeah.
start the baby steps. And we're just going to figure out one thing. We're going to organize you. We're going to find out where things are for what we know. You say such a great point. Many people, there is no plan, right? We're leaning on the spouse, right? Or the spouse wasn't forthcoming with where
Right.
everything is. Let's say that
Which can be
politely
a
as we can.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah. But what we want to do is just say, what do we have control of? Let's give this person going through grief and a pending divorce and sometimes a loss of hope and sometimes a I can't wait until it's over. Let's speed this up, right?
Yeah.
Let's understand what their timeline is, what their why is in wanting to have financial control, and what was their language of money during their relationship. What did they learn from their parents? Once I can understand how someone makes money decisions, and for many of us, it's ignore it, put my head in the sand, let the world spin around, I'll get back to it later. Future Donna will have that issue. Sometimes it's having someone sit there saying, no, but we have to right now. So, what are our
Right.
two choices? And let's pick one. So, I would say, let's just gain control. And the whole divorce money map, which is our recent book put together, is
Yes, I forgot to
literally
mention that. Yeah.
that's what it is. It's saying open the cover, start left, and go page by page because we don't know what we don't know. And if we weren't financial savvy, if we don't even like doing it, but we have to because we're in discovery for a divorce or we're going to sit down with a mediator and we want to add knowledge to the
Yeah.
situation, right? We want to learn more. This shows you what do you have to start looking for? Do you have to find a marriage certificate, the divorce decree from marriage number one? Do you need to find a social security statement? Do you need to pull your credit report? Do you need to find the difference between an asset and a liability and what the heck does that mean?
Yeah.
And what does it mean to have things titled a certain way? That might be foreign lingo to you, nor do you want to do it. Will you partner with one of us? Find a really highly recommended I love CFPs, certified financial
Yeah.
planners, and there's a lot of really good CDFAs, certified divorce financial
Yeah.
analysts. I am one, but there's some that just sit and do this work of like sitting at your dining room table and helping you sort through it. The divorce money map is there if you want to do it on your own.
I love that. So that's your teaching guide. And Donna, okay, so I'm not divorced,
Mhm.
but I did not have a handle on our finances. And I stuck my and it was the weirdest situation because my husband earned the money and had the big 401k and all the stuff, and I had no way of looking at what we had. I didn't know what we had in stock. I didn't know anything. I would just get a certain amount of money every month, and it was never the same. So I
Mhm.
never really knew what I could spend. It was just such a mess for years. And I lived in hell
Yeah.
because I was always nervous about it. I was scared. And it's so funny because, okay, tell me what kind of language I speak. You were talking about how you figure this. Use me as I grew up and God bless my dad. So he had decent income. He wasn't super wealthy, but enough for lots of stuff, and he didn't want to spoil my brother and I. So I was 12 years old and my brother was 14. And he said, we're going to set this up so that you have your own budgets and you have to pay for everything.
Mhm.
Okay.
He empowered you to understand your spend.
Well, he empowered me, but I didn't take it that way. So my brother was like, wow, cool. And I was like, shit, I don't want to do this. And it
Yeah.
scared me. And I never stopped. And I just was afraid of it. That was the moment. And now, had I been who I am now and would have been able to say, Dad, I'm kind of scared. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I don't really know how, then that would have changed things. But instead, I worked a lot. But I never really looked at it, and it followed me into my 50s.
Mhm.
So then, fast forward to just recently, my husband's going in for a heart surgery and he retires. Boom, like that. And I was like, what? What? Like, do we?
Yeah.
It was so interesting because for the first time in my life, even though I say I hate finances, I started digging in and I started learning. And with that, I don't hate it anymore.
Yeah.
And don't you think, Donna, that women can actually grow and feel a sense of it's almost like power or freedom? Like you're like, oh, it's not that hard. And so if they come to someone like you can help them figure it out. I have a financial planner now too. We didn't. So
Mhm.
now I have someone, I can chat GPT things and then I can connect with him. And I actually have my finger on, I know exactly what we have. And it is so freeing and I don't feel afraid and I want it for everyone. I just
Yeah.
want every woman, I don't care if you're in a good marriage, you just have no idea what's going on with finances. Find out,
Yeah.
learn about
Yeah.
it.
I agree with you. And that's one of the big things too, is just starting like the first few pages of the divorce money map. All right. So wait, what was in my name before I got married? And what is in my name now?
Right.
And what's in our name together? Some of those things we could just kind of know intuitively because we look at the top of the checkbook and it has both our names or just one, right? Or we get a statement from our old former employer. Well, that's just in your name, right? Like these are
Mhm.
those things that we can just help you kind of very quickly decipher. And then all of a sudden, the clouds start to clear. And you start to realize, like, wait, as a human on this earth, I actually have a net worth. I actually own X, Y, and Z. Like, this is it. And let's go back to my own mom's divorce, right? Like, she literally had a joint checking account that could have been siphoned at any point in time, and nothing else besides the house was titled in her name. She was scared to death, right, when my
Yeah.
dad said she wanted a divorce. And that's okay. Come to the table with a financial professional and say, I am scared to death. I
Yeah.
just used to live on
Yeah.
the fact that he deposited X amount of money and I spent it. And if I didn't spend it on groceries, it was a little extra for that Disney trip for the family, which we never, well, we got to once, right? But these are those things. I was like, did we get there? It was. It was extended with more family.
Right.
But those are those things. And I think when you start to understand where the money is, where it sits, what you do and don't have. That's where the empowerment is. You've said it a few times, like the challenge is where we learn. There's a great book out there, The Obstacle is the Way, right?
Yeah.
When you get through that, when you start to just understand some of the basic terms or your basic strength or what you don't know, well, then you can have a professional help you fill in the blanks, right?
Right.
And a lot of what the divorce money map is, not everybody has enough money to sit there and say, I'm going to hire CDFA or I'm going to hire CFP, right? But they have to put all their assets or all of their income or all their savings or nest egg into hiring a divorce attorney because it got complicated. Like maybe mediation's not working or just that gentleman's agreement isn't working anymore. Well, do a lot of this work in the divorce money map. It really was made to be user friendly on your own. If you don't want to reach out to a financial professional or you can't,
Yeah.
take that to your divorce attorney and they will be thankful because you have just summarized what you know and what you don't know. Now
Yeah.
they can go in as attorneys in discovery and find the rest of it.
Well, and Donna, as we're sitting here talking, don't you think this is important whether you're getting divorced or not? Once
100%.
the right? I mean, like I said, it's changed my life just to have a better understanding. So having the divorce money map and reading it and educating yourself gives you power,
Yeah. And
knowledge.
I'll be to your point, like the process of understanding where you are is the same whether you're going through divorce or widowhood or you're just trying to build your own financial
Yeah,
education. So I have 3 books, A Guide to Widowhood, A Guide to Blended Families, and they're more like novels with PDFs you can download.
yeah,
Go download any of those and use them, whether you're married or not, or you're a mom that wants to teach your daughter how to manage her own finances after she leaves college. Oh my gosh, please do that for the next
yeah.
generation. If you even know you can do it on your own. But the books were kind of easy. They were the stories, but the techniques, the downloads, the PDFs, the asset and liability, the net worth, those are those lingos, right?
Oh,
That
I
we tell you
love
what they are. They're the same. They're the same for you're divorced or not. So yeah, please
yeah,
go. They're available complimentary downloads. Take them and
I
start
love that.
there.
Okay, so where do they find these downloads? When they
You
purchase the book?
Yeah, you for many of them, yes, you can purchase the book on either Amazon, Barnes and Noble, places like that, and that will come in the book. You'll see where to download it. But go to donnajeankendrick.com and sniff around a little bit. I'm not going to say you're
Okay.
not going to find them. Yeah.
Well, and I think I would be interested in reading the stories. Did you say it reads like a novel? And I'm so impressed. I'm working on a book right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
No,
maybe next March I'll be
I'm
it's
a
something.
statistician by trade. This was painful. Like, and thank God I have a loving second husband who's like, "Here you go. Go away up to like we have a little place in the Poconos." He's like, "I will keep all 6 kids and
Oh,
you just go write because there's no way you're gonna write with them here." And because if I didn't like it, I'd be like, "Oh, I think the kids look hungry." I'd go downstairs and cook something for them. Like,
or
"No,
it is
go write."
it, it is a challenge, and I'm at the point where like the story. I have a bunch. The stories are done now. I'm just like revamping them and trying to get them in the right order, and it's just really hard to find. And I mean, I have adult kids, I have grandchildren. Now I'm like sneaking off to the grandkids or the horse
Yeah.
or, so I think I need to do what you're talking about and just take off and really focus on it because it is an amazing process too.
It
But
is.
when you were talking about you wrote a novel, I'm like, okay, I want to read that about things because you had mentioned, and I don't know if this is in your novel or not, your mom. You
Yeah.
mentioned your mom going through a divorce.
Mhm.
And that was a while back, right?
Oh, yeah,
Back
80.
when a lot of women didn't, and it was different.
It was.
Did
I They
that
didn't have their ability to have a bank account with their name in, I think, until the
that crazy?
70s. Yeah,
Did
yeah.
that play a role in you doing this work, do you think?
I think that played a role. I mean, and then we see extended families, like, that are going through divorces and things like that. I think what was most impactful, good question, is I saw my mom struggle for someone who had given up her career, again, didn't have enough money to qualify for a mortgage on her own, had to make the very good settlement with my dad that they got to keep the house until I was 18 and out of school. And then the house would be settled because she couldn't qualify for a mortgage on her own. She
Yeah.
just didn't have the income level there. But she had made some mistakes. I won't call them mistakes. Backing it up, she'd made some decisions that she wasn't educated about on her own,
Mhm.
giving parts of the pension in exchange for alimony, not knowing that if she got married again, she would lose the alimony. Not knowing
Oh,
if she got married again, my dad was gonna be like, "Good, sell the house now," right? Like, these are those things
right.
that even though the divorce was settled, she was not educated on enough about. So that made me passionate about being truly independent should something happen to my marriage. But let's fast forward. I just shared earlier that when my first husband, Greg, passed, I didn't have a credit card in my name. I
Right.
kind of just got busy with life, with living
Yep.
abroad, with having 3 kids, right? And I had given up my ability to qualify for a mortgage because I didn't have any earned income. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness. So the passion for what I've done in my practice and families and transition being that focused, a lot of it came from me kicking myself for the own insecurities of I will never be in that position my mom was in. And when Greg died, it wasn't a divorce. I was in the position my mom was in. And that was really hard for me to one, acknowledge, I can say it now, but
Yeah.
two, witness myself who went to college. My mom didn't. She graduated high school, was married
Yeah.
by 19, right? Who had her own career, who had her own savings, who ran all of the day to day finances, right? To say, oh my God, how far did I come? I'm right where she was, right?
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying that that was the lesson I had to learn, and that's where that passion for, I don't want someone else to wind up
Mhm.
here. The reason why I
Yep.
say it was a novel or books is because, yeah, there are these financial tips in there and downloadables and how to understand this and how to check titling and what does it mean, this word, that word, that word, this word,
Right.
right? There's a lot of jargon in there. But the stories are in there because I want people to understand that I lived this, that these are the stories of the people around me, and that this is why it's important. And your story could probably be in one of those books too, right? So
Right.
let's take that story and let's use the solutions within the books. The only one that isn't story based is the divorce money map.
Yeah,
It was
it's more
supposed
of the
yeah.
learning.
It's a workbook, and it was supposed to be like the other 2, because again, we can use those same resources and just apply it to blended families and apply it here and
Yes,
then put the stories around it. I wanted it to be soup to nuts, left page all
I
the
like
way to the end,
yeah,
everything in one spot and workable. That's what I
yeah,
want.
I like that. I like that. Okay, when you were talking about how you were disappointed, maybe is the word you use when you felt like you were in the same position that your mom was in.
Yep.
I have a question for you because something hit me so hard when I was a new attorney. And I got my master's before I had the babies, and I went to law school when I had an infant and like a 2-year old.
Oh, God bless you.
So, well, I mean, there were good things about it and there were bad things about it. But then I remember I had decided I worked for it kind of worked out perfect where my youngest was in kindergarten and then I started my practice. And then I was like, yeah, I'm not done. So we adopted 8 years after. And I'm like, I'm just take some time off. And I kept my license and I did elder law. I would go to older people and help them with whatever medical assistance planning. But I remember going to a legal education course, and this hardcore family law attorney said to everyone, I advise everyone to never be a stay at home mom. And I was like, and I thought, yeah, right. And that was hard to swallow. I think we could say that different because I think you can make that choice. However, you need to still be aware what the finances are. Don't stick your head in the sand like I probably did.
Yep.
Right. And what do you think about that? About what she said? And is that what you're saying? Like, do you wish you would have kept a
No.
higher paying job, or dig a little more into that?
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is I wish I would have educated myself more or
Yeah.
had somebody tell me what to do next so I wasn't in that situation. So let's back it up. I could have kept the credit card in my name, not just
Yeah.
become an authorized user on my husband's as life got busy. And he was like, "Ooh, this is a great perk that gives us airline miles," right? Like, okay,
Right.
like I'll sign up as an authorized user and you can get
Right.
500 more. I never thought he was going to die at 43, right?
Mhm.
And I could have, while I was still working before I went abroad, gotten another credit card in my name, put our Netflix on it, and paid it every month,
Right.
keeping my credit history clear, username right there, age of credit, length of credit is important. If I would have done that the year before we went abroad, I would have had 8 years of credit history on something that was just a small account that I just kept going. Also, I wish there was someone who to tell me and Greg what our cash reserve could have been on, right? We were actually able to save a lot of money when we were living abroad because we didn't have a mortgage at that time. We
Mhm.
bought an investment property, which was a great thing, and it wound up paying us rent when it came through. Oh, but wait, when your husband dies and the tenants leave 3 months later, uh-oh, there's no rent. That's not passive income. Now I
No.
owe. Right, but I didn't have enough cash reserve, we call it, 3 to 6 months of what it would cost me to be me to cover those basic bills without putting on a credit card. I didn't know that word. I might have been called a rainy day fund, which is what my aunt told me to have when I walked down the wedding aisle. Like, she was like, just always remember, take a little bit of his paycheck and put it aside because you never know what's going to happen. And I thought she was antiquated. She was right.
Yeah.
And I did have a little one, and it lasted me a good month, right? And I
Right.
was so thankful for that. I should have had that times 6.
Yeah.
I should have.
Well, okay. So for everything that you're saying, your book is for every woman.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like you could and that's how I feel. The work that I do helping women could help women not just going through divorce, but they're the women that are coming to me for the help. I just feel like I want every woman who is getting married to be a part of this. Don't just, let your husband or husbands just let your spouse take care of the finances. Be involved so that you're not left like in the
Yeah.
state of fear.
Yeah. And in my own second marriage now, like, so
Yeah.
I've shared my husband's a carpenter. He has zero interest in the finances, right? I'm the breadwinner now. And he's just like, oh, you've got it. I married a financial planner. This is easy. I got it done. I'm like, why if something happens to me? Right.
Right.
And so I force him. It used to be every month. And then I realized that was just busting his attention span once a quarter and make him sit down and look at, we call it our portal. It's through my company, but the portal, which shows every account, what we own, what we owe, where all the investments are, where are things in his name, where are they in mine, where are the accounts for the kids, right? Because we have 6 kids, and yes, we help all of them, right? With
Yeah.
managing their tuition and the whole bit. They go from 16 to 24. They're still our
Woo!
babies,
You're busy.
right? Yeah, we are, right? But I make him look at everything. And then he says, okay, and what if something happens to you? Who's in charge of the state? Who's in charge of blank, blank, blank? Where do things go? But he's telling me, thanks for showing me. I still don't want to be in charge of it. So
Right.
I've hired a financial planner to take care of Jim if something happens to me. And that's a
Oh, that's
little hard, right? To say like, "Hi, I'm a financial planner. Come judge everything I've done." That's not the right? It's not the person that I've hired. Like, this is someone who's a colleague of mine, and she
right.
knows where the access is, where to get everything, and also the person who's in charge of my estate or of my an executor of my will is not Jim. It's my best friend. And so she
Oh,
sits with me every month, and she is a trusted contact, and she knows everything that's on the portal. She comes upstairs and she looks at where my safe deposit well, not my safe deposit, my safe and all of my files are organized. So she knows that that's the safe for the kids, that's the safe for me, that's the safe for Jim, and that's the safe for the family. So we
yeah,
physically have documents kind of separated out so that she can have an easy run should God forbid something happen to me. Over plan, maybe a little bit, but when I have Jim who doesn't care, I need to find a way to make it still work for him if God forbid something happens for me. And
yeah,
that's why I say lean in on the who, not how. Make a
yeah.
different plan.
Yeah, yeah. I like that, and I've got work to do because it's just so I think my husband's interested in finances, but not the details. And I would sit down and want to show him the budget every week, and I could not get him to do it. So
Yeah.
maybe once a month. Maybe it's once a month.
Yeah. Yep, or once a quarter, or I print it out and bind it, and, like, somewhere in there, I paste a $20 bill. Like, and he just go like, he'll page through and act like he's reading if he can get the $20 bill. No, he's not like that. He has access to his own money. But to take it from me would be fun. So
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Well, Donna, I'm looking. I haven't even looked at the clock, and then we've gone a little bit over time, but it's been so awesome to talk to you. I love your story. I love the work that you're doing. I'm going to read all those books, and listeners, I'll have them in the show notes, or people can find you. Say it again, Donna Kendrick.
DonnaJeanKendrick.com. That's
All
the
right.
world will open up there. DonnaJeanKendrick.com.
Wonderful. Well, I so appreciate you being here, and I appreciate the work that you're doing.
Well, thank you for letting me talk a little bit. I appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks so much. You take good care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.